Today on Read Along, the new Chaos Demons Codex. Welcome back everyone to Canhammer, your source for 40k from the Great White North. Today we'll be reading through the new Chaos Demons Codex. I've actually paid very little attention to this codex. There was so much other stuff going on, including the Nurgle battle tome and the shock announcement of the Custodes coming out, which got me very excited. And then all my modeling and hobbying and catching up on New Year's games. I know very little about what's in this codex, so this will be a pretty fresh read through, and we might as well get started. So as usual, I tell you what percentage of the book is actually fluff. 136 pages and 84 pages. So 2/3 of it, just under 2/3 of it is fluff. What's interesting is most of the codexes are about the same size, except for maybe Space Marines. Most of the codexes are the same size, about 130, 140 pages. So we'll dive right into some of these rules here. So, of course, you have your keywords, and the keywords are all the allegiances to the various gods. And then the demon abilities, as usual, 5+ invuln save, unstoppable ferocity, which is if a unit is charged or performs a heroic intervention, add 1 to the strength and attacks characteristic of all its models. Okay, so that's Khorne, I believe. Khorne demons. And then demons of Tzeentch get ephemeral form, add 1 to invuln saves. Nurgle, of course, gets disgustingly resilient, which is a 5+ feel no pain. And Slaanesh gets quicksilver swiftness, which is the unit always fights first in the fight phase, even if it didn't charge. So those are unchanged from index. And then you have the ability to summon, of course, which is unchanged, the demonic ritual. I don't believe there's been any changes to demonic ritual. So, not being a demon player myself, I won't necessarily be concentrating on a lot of these data sheets, but I'll give you the opportunity to look at them, obviously, if you'd like. Scarbrand always seemed to me to be a pretty cool but expensive model that, like Bloodthirsters, didn't make it across the table. But apparently there's things that kind of equalize that disadvantage these days. So there he is, Scarbrand and the various Bloodthirsters. Blood Throne. Karanak. That's pretty good. Karanak is, I think, is that dog with this big collar, and he can deny 2 psychic powers, which is pretty good. Alright, so you notice that, so those are the HQs for Khorne, and the pages are red, and then the HQs for Tzeentch, the pages are kind of light blue. So that's pretty interesting. Here we are, Fate Weaver and the Lord of Change. Interesting. So his ability Foretell, if your army's battle forged, you get D3 command points instead of just a straight up 3 like Gulliman. I wonder. See, the index is kind of a little bit confusing how it's organized, but let's see if I can find his rules here. Yeah, so that's the same as the index there. Of course, he can manifest 3 powers and attempt to deny 3, so he's a pretty powerful psyker. Lord of Change. And the Changeling. So we'll cover the Changeling, Reggie. We'll cover the Changeling because he's been changed. So the Changeling was formerly a pretty key unit in demon armies because it gave brimstones mostly, but other things as well, -1 to hit. Now we are going to see that that is different. I'm trying to just find him here in the, here we are. So the changeling used to be so -1 to hit for all infantry models, units within 9 inches, which is really good. And that's all attacks, not just shooting. Whereas the changeling now has been changed. So he is now called the Locus of Transmogrification. Well, it's the same name, but now it's roll a d6 each time a friendly Tzeentch model within 9 inches loses a wound. On a 6+, it does not. So now it gives a 9-inch feel no pain aura, which is good, but probably not as good as a -1 to hit aura. So changeling has been officially nerfed. Changecaster, blue scribes. Reggie's in the way here. Alright, and Flux Master. I gotta say, I haven't even heard of these HQs before, so clearly nobody uses them. And so here's the new HQ for Nurgle called Rodicus. I don't believe he existed before. I may be wrong. Let me see. Germans of Nurgle. Yeah, so he's a named Great Unclean One, so he is new. In terms of stats, we'll compare him to the Great Unclean One in a second, but weapon skill 2, ballistic skill 3+, toughness 7 with 18 wounds, and a 6+ save with the demon save. And he has streams of brackish filth, a gnarl rod, and a fanged maw. And he is attended by Nurglings as well. And he has so the streams of, so let's see, he moves 7 inches, which is pretty fast for Nurgle. Strength 7, which degrades, and attack starts at 5, it goes down to 3. Streams of brackish filth, assault 2d6, 7 inches. Strength user, so strength 7, -3 AP, 1 damage, automatically hits. And reroll failed wounds. That's pretty decent. It's a nice little flamer weapon, -3 AP flamer weapon. Then he's got his maw and his gnarled, which are user weapons, strength 6, strength or strength 8, 3 damage. And with the maw, he can make d6 attacks with it, and everything's fair rerolled wounds. So, decent combat demon. Of course, he's just got a 6+ save, the 5+ invuln, as well as disgusting resilient. So probably not that hard to kill. Toughness 7. Each time Rodicus manifests psychic power of test of 7, the closest enemy unit to him suffers a mortal wound. Not too bad, just free mortal wounds for casting powers. Crushing bulk. Roll d6 at the end of your charge. On a 4+, enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. Again, not too bad, just for making a free mortal wound, just for making a charge. And Greater Demon uses leadership. So 2 psychic powers. And he knows 3 powers and could deny 2. So there you go. I guess we'll see how many points he is, but he's the new character. Here's a standard Great Unclean One, which basically has the same stats, but has a number of different weapons and things that you can equip. It seems like all the Nurgle stuff has reroll failed wounds, blight weapons. Alright, Crushing Bulk, Reverberating Summons. If a Great Unclean One with a Doomsday Bell attempts to summon a unit of Nurgle demons, you roll 4 dice instead of 3. In addition, you may roll d6 for each Nurgle demon unit within 7 inches. On a 4+, a single slain model is returned. That's pretty decent. Epidemius. So Epidemius is the tally man, of course. So he's not too hard to kill, and of course his main point of being here is to tally up deaths. And as I can tell you, having played Logan with a Nurgle army recently, these cumulative effects do start to add up. Reroll 1s for all Nurgle demons, increase move by 1, increase strength and toughness, and then attacks. Yeah, so it does start to add up, especially when it starts getting to the strength and toughness. Alright, so here's the new AOS model, Horticulus Slimux, which has now made its way to 40k. Let's have a look at this guy. So 2+2+, weapon skill, ballistic skill. He only moves 5 inches. Well, he is on a snail after all. Toughness is 6 with 9 wounds, so not that hard to kill. Couple of las cannon shots would do it if you're lucky. 4 attacks, 4+ save. Oh, 4+ save. That's unusual for a demon. So he is riding Mulch, which has an acidic maw, and he's armed with lopping shears. So he's decent in combat, +1 strength, so strength 6, -3 D3 damage, reroll failed wounds, and Mulch is strength 7, -4, straight up 3 damage. But that's only 1 attack, so there you go. And then he has Beast Handler. Reroll failed charge rolls for all beasts of Nurgle within 6 inches. In addition, add 1 to all hit rolls for friendly beasts of Nurgle that are within 12 inches. So that's pretty decent. You gotta kind of play with it so that you can be within 6 for your charge, but not outside of 12 in the fight phase though. But that's pretty good buff to beasts. Plowed Slime Trail. Roll d6 for each enemy unit that falls back within 1 inch of Slimex. On a unit 4+, they suffer d3 mortal wounds. In death, there's life. At the start of your turn, if any models, friend or foe, were slain in the last turn, 1 demon model regains a wound. Okay, well, it's not a huge heal, but almost certainly you're going to be able to heal something every turn. And Seed the Garden. At the end of your movement phase, add a feculent gnarlmaw to your army. That's the new Nurgle tree, containing set it up within 3 inches of this guy and more than 1 inch away from enemy models. It cannot use this ability in a turn he performed demonic ritual. So you can't put a tree down and summon demons. So that's interesting. So he's a decent model. I think depending on what the tree looks like, which I hear is pretty good, he might be a pretty good take in the Nurgle army. Reggie, what do you think of Horticulus Slimux, Reggie? Huh? What do you think? Alright, Poxbringer, Sloppity Bile Piper. So these are the 2 new heralds. The Sloppity Bile Piper special ability, Disease of Mirth. Whenever a Nurgle demon unit takes morale test within 6 inches of a Sloppity Bile Piper, roll 2 dice instead of 1 and discard the highest. But if you do fail your morale test, then you remove an extra model. Okay, add 1. Just increase your chance of rolling a 1, so you can regenerate models. Jolly Gut Pipes. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of Nurglings and Great Unclean One units within 6 inches. In addition, Nurglings and Great Unclean One units can declare a charge even if they advance if they're within 6 inches. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Spoilpox Scrivener is the other herald, I believe. Stern Taskmaster asks 2 inches to the movement characteristics of all Plaguebearer infantry. That's pretty good. Anything that makes Nurgle move faster is good. Keep counting, meet your quota. Add 1 to all hit rolls made for Plaguebearer units. In addition, if you make a hit roll of 7+ for a Plaguebearer unit, you can immediately make 1 additional attack at the same target with the same weapon. Okay, not as good, but he might be worth it if he's cheap in order to make your Plague Bearers a bit faster, but I don't know how fast you need Plague Bearers to be. Alright, now we're into Slaanesh. I know very little about Slaanesh, so just let you read it here. And then we have Be'lakor and a generic Demon Prince. So Be'lakor is pretty decent, I think. 14-inch move, which is pretty fast. 2+2+, 6/6, 8 wounds, 6 attacks, 4+ save. Blade of Shadows, of course, strength 7 -5 and 3 damage. And Malefic Talons makes 1 attack with it. Strength 6 -2, 2 damage. So he's a pretty beefy combat character. Subtracts 1 from the leadership of enemy units. Reroll any failed hit rolls of 1 for friendly demon units within 6 inches. So he buffs, he's like a captain for demons. And reroll failed saving throws for Be'lakor. Wow. Okay, so he's got a 4+ rerolling, 5+ invuln rerolling. Pretty good. 2 psychic powers. And there's a special discipline, I think, just for him, the Dark Hereticus. And here's your generic Demon Prince. Okay, blood letters. So I felt the fury of blood letters before. I don't think they've changed, but they're certainly a decent little troops choice with basically power swords. And the horrors, so horrors have changed significantly. So now what's happened is their saving throws have changed. So this is part of the nerf of Brimstone Horrors. So now pink horrors have the 4+, blue horrors have the 5+, and brimstone have 6+. So as it gets weaker and weaker, the invulnerable save goes down. And you know that makes a lot more sense. So maybe we'll start seeing some more pink horrors now. Okay, and their flamers now seem to use their ballistic skill. For pinks anyway, 4+ ballistic skill. Okay, and reds you can read there. Plague Bears and Nurglings, unchanged. Nurglings probably still the best deep strike deny units in the game because they can set up anywhere. Yep, they're pretty good. Alright, I was told that they could set up even within 9 inches of the enemy, but no, it says right here they have to be at least 9 inches away from any enemy models. Been misinformed. Okay, Demonettes and Blood Crushers. Flamers and Exalted Flamers. So apparently the Exalted Flamer, which as if it wasn't good enough, the sort of las cannon type weapon went from heavy D3 to just straight up heavy 3. Strength +4, -4 AP D3 damage. So there you go. As if they weren't good enough already, they're even better now. So here are the new Beast of Nurgle models. I don't know if the profile has changed. I don't think so, but at least you get new models to play with now. And Fiends of Slaanesh. Fleshhounds and Screamers. Oh, the days of the Screamer Star. And Plague Drones. I'm just thinking I could probably decently use my Andrew's Nurgle AOS army in 40k now. I got a Great and Clean one of the 4-droid ones. Got a bunch of Blight Drones. I got 60 Plague Bears. I got some Beasts. I got Soul Grinder, and I've got Epidemius, so it could make a little army and a few heralds. Yep, sorry guys, I don't know much about demons, so this is really a read-through for you guys, flipping through every page here. Alright, let's look at this thing. The Feculent Gnarl Maw, this new Nurgle tree, which is a pretty crazy model. This is a fortification for 3 power. This unit can be 1 Feculent Gnarl Maw or 2 or 3. And you have to set them within 6 inches of each other. Pestilent Garden, after it's set up, is a terrain feature. Cannot move for any reason. It's not a friendly or enemy model. Cannot be targeted or affected. So it becomes terrain. So it's not a fortification once you set it up, which is interesting. But in order to bring it in your army, you need to make a fortification detachment. Interesting. So Shroud of Flies. All Nurgle demons, except vehicles and monsters, are completely within 7 inches of it, receives cover, but adds 2 to the saving throw. And remember, invuln saves are not benefited by cover. They specify that specifically. So that's pretty good. Sickness Blossoms. Sickness Blossoms, at the start of your turn, roll d6 for every unit that is within 3 inches On a 4+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound, but on a 6 it suffers D3. So clearly you just stay out of 3 inches of this thing. You can't attack it anyway. The Plague Bells chime. Nurgle demons within 7 inches at the start of their turn can shoot and or charge their turn even if they fell back or advanced. That's like so good. That is so good. And Conduit, another ability. Conduit to Nurgle's domain. Reroll any of the dice used in the summoning roll when a chaos character within 7 inches of the Gnarlmoth attempts to summon a unit of Nurgle demons. Okay, that's pretty good. So that's pretty good. The cover save and the random mortal wounds, as well as the ability to shoot and charge, advance and fall back. Pretty good. Demonic gifts. Okay, so let's just do profiles here. Okay, here are the demon rules. So let's see. Demonic legions, so objective secured, of course, and demonic loci. So the demonic loci is if battleforged, all characters have a demonic locus as long as every unit in that detachment is the same allegiance. The locus is gained depending on their allegiance. All characters in a Nurgle chaos. Yeah. Okay, so here are the loci. So these are like the chapter tactics if you stick to one god. So Khorne characters, you can reroll charge rolls for Khorne demons within 6 inches of this locus. Pretty good. Khorne, that's what Khorne wants to do. Locus of trickery, so you roll 2 dice at the start of the fight phase and discard the highest result until the end of that phase. Each time your opponent targets a Tzeentch demon unit within 6 inches of a friendly model, so you basically negate that number from their hit rolls in combat. Yeah, that's okay. It's very thematic, but let's say you have to take the lowest, right? So you roll 2 dice and you have to take the lowest. So if you roll a 1, you're messed up because they miss on 1s anyway. And in order to get a 6, you have to roll 2 6s because you have to take the lowest. So yeah, I guess it's okay. And then if things are in the fight phase with you as a Tzeentch player, you're probably in trouble anyway. Locus of Virulence. Each time you make a wound roll 6+, you get do an additional damage. Oh, that's pretty sweet. Plague Bearers doing your 2 damage each. Oh, that's pretty sweet. That is very good. And it's just automatic on all your characters, so you don't have to have specific characters. That's pretty sweet. And Slaanesh, Locus of Swiftness. Select demons within 6 inches of a friendly model with this locus can declare a charge even if they advance. That's pretty good too. Okay, stratagems. So what's interesting here is, so these sort of darker green stratagems are just Chaos Demon. Then you have these red ones which are like Khorne, and then Tzeentch ones which are blue, and Nurgle ones which are sort of light green, and Slaanesh ones are kind of purple. Although the red in the Khorne and the purple kind of look very similar. As do the Tzeentch and the normal Chaos Demon ones. So they didn't do a good job with these colors, but anyway. So Denizens of the Warp. So this is the controversial one people have been arguing about. So for 1 CP or 2, if you use this during deployment, if you spend 1 CP, you can set up 1 demon unit with a power rating of 8 or less in the warp. If you spend 2 CP, you can set up a demon unit with a power rating of 9 or more, and then they deep strike. So the controversy right now is whether or not you can use this on Mortarion or Magnus, because they are demons. They have a keyword. One of many of their 2 lines of keywords, one of them is demon. Now, the argument is that it only works on if they have the demon faction keyword, because there's 2 lines of keywords, faction keywords and more like type keywords. And so if they're not a demon faction keyword, then that wouldn't work. Now, I don't know if they are or not. Have to look it up, really. Magnus the Red. So under Magnus the Red, one of his keywords is demon, yes. but under his faction keywords is just Chaos, Tzeentch, Heretic, Astartes, and Thousand Sons. So he's not a demon's faction. So that's the argument that this wouldn't work on him or Mortarion. So anyway, there's still lots of things you can deep strike. I mean, at the end of the day, demons everyone used to be at a deep strike. So some of them regaining the use of deep strike is still beneficial. Big unit of plague bearers or big unit of bloodletters, Scarbrand, your bloodthirster, you know, so they don't have to run across the field and get shot up. So it's still useful for sure. Demonic Incursion for 2 CP. Use this stratagem when one of your demon units is destroyed by a Grey Knight's unit. Destroyed unit is returned to your army at full strength. Pretty sweet. So obviously useful if you play Grey Knights, but not useful if you don't. Let's see what else is going on here. So Soul Sacrifice for 2 CP. Looks like something that increases the number of dice you roll for summons. Rewards of Chaos is your artifact stratagem. Demonic Pact for 1 CP. After a Chaos character from your army summons a unit of demons, that character can immediately attempt to summon a second unit. That's pretty sweet for 1 CP. Demonic Possession. Use this stratagem when an enemy psyker suffers perils of the warp. That unit suffers 2d3 instead of d3. That's pretty sweet. So 1 CP, you just make it almost instant death for that psyker, because most psykers are 5 wounds at the most. That might be an instant death for that psyker if they suffer perils, and you don't have to be next to them or anything. Just whenever they suffer it, you just play the stratagem. That's pretty sweet. And then if they die, of course they damage everyone around them too. Oh, that's pretty nice. Warp Surge 2 CP. Use the stratagem at the start of any phase. Select a unit of demons until the end of phase. You cannot reroll saving throws for this unit, but its invulnerable save is improved by 1. Okay. So this is just to get you up to a 3+ invuln, but you lose your reroll. That's obviously referring to units that can do that. So, okay, interesting. That's 2 CP. Seems like a lot, to be honest. Banner of Blood for Khorne. Use the stratagem before the battle. Choose one of your Khorne models with a demonic icon. That icon is upgraded to a banner. In addition, the power of the banner can be used once per battle. Just before the unit declares a charge, they can charge 3d6. Okay, so for 1 CP, you get your 3d6 inch charge. Pretty good. Locust of Wrath for 2 CP. Demonic character can reroll any failed hit rolls for friendly Khorne demon units within 6 inches. Okay, so for 2 CP to give you reroll hits for a turn. That's okay, seems expensive. Frenetic Bloodlust. Use the stratagem at the end of any fight phase. Select one of your Khorne demon units. So this is the fight again for 3 CP. Nurgle. Revolting Regeneration for 2 CP. One model in the unit regains D3 lost wounds. If there are no wounded models, they can get a slain model back for 2 CPs. I don't know. That seems expensive for D3 lost wounds. And they get a model back, but with 1 wound remaining. Okay, so even if you res like a drone or something back, you're still only getting 1 wound on it. So it's still only 1 wound. So yeah, that's too expensive, I think. 1 CP for a Plague Banner. So the icon is replaced by a Plague Banner once per game. When you're fighting, increase all Plague Swords damage to 2. Decent for 1 CP. Locus of Fecundity for 2 CP. At the start of any phase, you can reroll disgustingly resilient rolls of 1 for Nurgle demons within 6 inches. That's decent, but again, 2 CP is a little bit steep. Blasted Standard. So this is the special standard for Tzeentch for 1 CP. In the Psychic phase, when used, roll 9 dice. For each roll of a 6, the closest visible enemy unit within 9 inches suffers a mortal wound. Okay, so you have to be kind of close range to do that, but might be useful. It's probably not going to be worth it. Magical Boon for a CP. A Tzeentch Demon Psyker can attempt to manifest another power. That's the standard. 2 CP. A Tzeentch character from your army. Reroll failed psychic tests for friendly Tzeentch units within 6 inches. Again, seems expensive for 2 CP. Locus of Grace. A CP for Slaanesh. Use the stratagem at the start of any fight phase. Select the Slaanesh demon character till the end of the phase. Each time you make a wound roll. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's Exploding Sixes. Aura of Acquiescence. Use this stratagem. Enemy units within 3 inches reduce attacks by 1. It's okay for 1 CP. And their standard Rerolled all hit rolls made for the bearer's unit. That's alright. At least it's only a CP. Okay, that's it. So only 1 page of stratagems, not the usual 3 pages or 4 pages. So let's see, my favorites from here, obviously the ability to deep strike is always good, even if it's not Mortarion and Magnus. I like the ability to summon 2 units. This perils thing, obviously you're not going to use it very often, but when you do use it, it might be pretty devastating. And Khorne's 3d6 charge banner is good. And yeah, those are my favorite ones. All right, 6 tables of warlord traits. I don't think I'm going to read through them all for you. I'll just let you read through them here. Nicely color coded, of course. Let me try and get that light off the Slaanesh one there. There you go. Alright, I just had a quick read through them all, and not particularly impressed with any of them, so we won't spend any more time on that. None of them really stand out at me. None of them are CP regenerating, so the demons that missed out on that for sure. Here's your list of artifacts. Again, I'm not going to go through them all, but do take your time and pause the video and have a look at these. And the psychic powers. So let's have a look at psychic powers. So Tzeentch, Boon of Change, Warp Charge 7, friendly unit within 18, roll a d3, and they get +1 attack, +1 strength, or +1 toughness until the start of your next psychic phase. Okay. Bolt of Change, Warp Charge 8, so interesting. Unit suffers, so enemy unit within 18 inches that's visible suffers d3 mortal wounds. If it's a character, you add a chaos spawn, which I presume you have to pay for, so it's basically an 18-inch targetable smite. Gaze of Fate, Warp Charge 6, reroll single dice roll later during your turn. Okay, it's a Warp Charge 6 for a Fate Weaver reroll. Treason of Tzeentch has a Warp Charge value of 8. Enemy character within 18 inches and roll 2d6. If it's greater than their leadership, treat it as if it were a friendly model in your army in your shooting, charge, and fight phases. At the end of the fight phase, the character reverts to being enemy model. Okay, you can treat the model as if, so select an enemy character. If it's greater, you can treat the model as if it were a friendly model in your army in your shooting, charge, and fight phases. Does that mean you take control of the model? It's not, doesn't specify that for sure. Alright, Flickering Flames, Warp Charge 5, until your next psychic phase, add 1 to wound rolls. And the Gateway, Warp Charge 8, identify nearest enemy model within 12 inches and visible. Every unit, that model's unit and every other unit, friend or foe, within 3 inches of that model suffers d3 mortal wounds. The number is d6 if you roll 12 plus on your psychic test. Alright, still has to be nearest enemy and within 12 inches. So. Okay, Nurgle, Stream of Corruption, Warp Charge 5, enemy unit within 7 inches suffers d3. If it's fewer than 10, d6 if it's more than 10. Decent. It's like a extra good smite, but it's within 7 inches, so not that useful. Fleshy Abundance, Warp Charge value of 5. Nurgle Demon unit regains d3 lost wounds. Nurgle's Rot, Warp Charge 7. Enemy roll d6 for every unit, excluding Nurgle units within 7 inches on 4 plus they suffer d3. That's like a mortal wound AoE, pretty good. Shriveling Pox. Warp Charge 6, until start of your next psychic phase, subtract 1 from target unit's toughness, pretty good. Virulent Blessing, Warp Charge 7, add 1 to wound rolls made for that unit in the fight phase. And it inflicts double damage if the wound roll is 7 or more, pretty good. Miasma of Pestilence, until start, subtract 1 from all hit rolls that target that unit, good. Slaanesh, Cacophonic Choir, roll 2d6. Closest enemy units within 18 inches suffers a mortal wound for each point that the total exceeds their highest leadership. Okay. Symphony of Pain. Enemy unit 18 inches struck by unbearable pain. Opponent subtracts 1 from all hit rolls made, which is good. Symphony of Pain, that is good. 18 inches, so a bit shorter than the Dark Angels one. Hysterical friendly, warp charge 8. If manifested, friendly unit, fight as if it were the fight phase. Pretty good. So that's a auto fight. That's pretty good. Warp charge 8. You have to be in combat already. Delightful Agonies, warp charge 5. Roll d6 each time model loses a wound, 6 plus Phenol Pain. Pavane of Slaanesh, warp charge 6. Suffers a mortal wound for each roll of a 6. Select an enemy unit. Enemy unit that's within 18 inches. Roll a d6 for each model. On a 6 you get a mortal. Okay. Phantasmagoria. If manifested, the enemy unit subtract 1 from their leadership. Okay. And this is Dark Hereticus Discipline, which is just for Be'lakor. Infernal Gauge, warp charge 5. With enemy unit within 18 inches of Be'lakor and visible, roll 3 dice. On a 4+ to get a mortal. So that's like a new smite for him. Death Hex, so he gets Death Hex. Within 12 inches, enemy unit cannot take invuln saves. And Gift of Chaos manifests a select enemy model within 6 inches. If the result is greater than the target's toughness characteristic, the unit suffers d3 plus 3 mortal wounds. If a character is slain, it can add a Chaos Spawn. Okay. And here's the Chaos Spawn. So it says, there are several abilities and psychic powers that are available that transform victims into Chaos Spawn. If such an ability or psychic power instructs you to add a Chaos Spawn to your army, use the datasheet below. Choose the Chaos Spawn's allegiance when you set it up on the battlefield. In a match play game, you must pay reinforcement points in order to use Chaos Spawn that are created. This is a point value of 33, including all weapons. There you go. There we go. All right, so points. Let me grab the old index here. So Be'lakor has gone up to 280. Oh, it's all mixed. Beast of Nurgle. Yeah, it's all mixed up here because it's not split up. Okay, so this might be a little bit tricky. Beast of Nurgle came down. Blood Crushers are unchanged. Blood Letters are down. Blood Letters are 2 points cheaper, down 7 points. Bloodthirster is the same. Okay, well, I'm not going to go through all this because it's very difficult to do that given how it is, but what I'll do is I will give you the points page so you can look at it. Oh, that's it. 1 page of points. Seems to be more stuff in here than that. Okay, so that's it, guys. That's the Demon book. Overall, pretty good. I think they gained a couple, 2 or 3 good stratagems. I think they gained, Nurgle gained the most in terms of new models, actually, and a nice amount of synergy. Obviously, they got a bunch of psychic powers. All the warlord traits don't seem particularly crazy. Just, standard, slightly non-overpowered warlord traits. And so overall, not that impressive a codex for the old demons. And the brimstones got nerfed. And the changeling got nerfed. So I don't know. Will we be seeing? I think as a result of this, we will see more demon, less soupy demons, but more mono faction or like faction detachment mono faction demons. I don't think this takes over from Chaos Space Marines. I think brimstones still have a place as cheap fodder, even though they won't last as long as they used to. So yeah, that's interesting. Let's just see if their price went up, I believe. So brimstones went to 3 points. So I think that's the same. Brimstone horrors, brimstones. Nope, they went up from 2 to 3. So, I mean, 3 points for a brimstone is not a lot, but it is an increase of 50%. So I don't know. We might not see all the brimstone. You certainly won't see the huge, massive armies of brimstones anymore. But so overall, a nice little codex. hugely overpowered or anything that I can see. I'm sure people will find some crazy stuff in here that I can't see, and I don't know that much about demons, but it seems like a reasonable codex. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you like this video, please click on the like button. Please feel free to subscribe by clicking on the can hammer symbol there. And if you really like to support us and help us create more content and expand our services, please feel free to subscribe to us and support us on Patreon by clicking the link up there. Thank you very much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.